Hi, my viewers. How are you? How have you been? Once again, I've come to share with you my story, my journey to Damascus. Um, I shared just a bit last time, but I have a lot more to share with you. I stopped at the point at which I experienced a miracle and an encounter with Jesus after going through a very, very difficult time. Um, I'm going to share this story with you, and I would request, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do, because there will be so much I'll be sharing about what I've gone through, about what a Christian can go through, what maybe some of you have gone through, and it's actually a matter of just sharing and, of course, displaying how God can work in our lives. Now, after my friend told me to go to the bank and I went and got some money in the bank, I had to take a pen and paper and work on that. As in, I needed to know what I needed to settle with that money. I needed to do a budget, which I did. But before I get to the budget, let me just tell you a little or a small story. I had mentioned that I was living in a rented house at this particular time. But I also mentioned earlier that we lived in an estate with a friend of mine who led me to Christ. I lived in my house at that point, and as I also mentioned earlier, I had to sell that house, but I sold it in some dubious ways that I wasn't paid all the amount of money. So the lady who was supposed to buy the house bought the house and had a balance, and I couldn't, how do I put it? Because she had not paid the full amount, we agreed that I take some months, instead of me going out there to pay rent to another house, that we kind of bear each other's burdens. She had a balance of 1.6 million. She had paid me 2 million. And we agreed for that 1.6, I would sit in and not go anywhere. And when that money was over, then I would leave the house. Of course, I had taken her 2 million because the house was going for 3.6 million. I had taken her 2 million and had gone and paid a deposit for another house. That other house was supposed to be costing 2.5 million. So I had a balance of 500,000 there, and this lady had my balance of 1.6 million. Let me shock you that the day that balance which this lady was supposed to give me was exhausted, she went and called auctioneers to come and evict me from the house. Take it or leave it. My property was taken and was sold. You know how auctioneers do, for 120,000. Everything that was in that house. I'm talking of some about 15 years ago. And the sad part was, I tried to plead with the auctioneer not to sell the things or the stuff they had got from the house, and I had promised I would offset the balance of rent, which was 44,000, in about a month, and he couldn't take it. So after my things or household goods were sold, I had to move, and that's how I moved to the rented property, where my friend from the bank found me. Now, that is a small story about that house that I sold. Now about the other house which I was supposed to go into. I had a balance of 500,000, which I didn't have, of course. And it's an interesting story because the occupants of that house, actually the ones who sold that house to me, had an interesting history as a couple. They were ever in disagreement, and after I gave them the 2 million shillings, we had agreed that they also vacate, and then they can leave the house to me, and then I can pay them in bits. And they said they would not move out until I pay them the balance. Fine. It was their right. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the lady of the house became very stubborn. In fact, at one point she told me, if you want us to leave this house, you will have to call Nation newspapers. This story is going to sell the Nation newspapers. And I told her there was no point. So this time when I got this money, I was going to clear the balance. So I went and asked them, if I give you the money now, will you move out? And they categorically told me they will not move out because I messed them. Because I paid them part of the money, I didn't pay them the balance. So they said they will not move out. Now, you imagine I'm living in a rented premises. I have a house which I sold. I have this other one which I'm buying. And they have said even if I pay them, they will not move out. So my lawyer advised me and told me, don't worry, just pay them. Pay them, and then we will know what happens after that. So I went to their lawyer and paid their balance, 550,000 from that money that I had. And I went back to them and asked them, now you can move, I paid your money. They told me, no way. You go and bring Nation newspapers here. We are not moving. You messed us. And we are not moving from here. Look for a place to live. Now look at this. It's very ironical. You buy a house and people don't want to move from the house, and they tell you, the owner of the house, to go and look for a place to stay. It was very interesting. So, but I thank God. God is so faithful. I went back to their lawyer, who I had given the money to. I won't mention him here. And I talked to the lawyer and I told him, in fact it was a lady, I told her, your clients have said they are not moving out of my house, and they have told me that I should go and get the Nation newspaper to come and take that story. They have told me you can go where you want to go. We are not moving out. So their lawyer advised me and told me I am going to handle them. Just relax. I'm going to call you coming week. I went back to them, and this time round, my God gave me wisdom. I love God. God is so faithful. He gave me wisdom. God told me, go and tell them this. That's the story I'm giving now. Tell them you are going to live in that house with them. That house had 3 bedrooms. Upstairs, it was a storage house, a maisonette, and it had a sitting room and a lounge and kitchen on the toilets and bathrooms in the ground floor. So I went and told the lady of the house, now, because you have nowhere to go, I am going to be very generous. And because I love you so much, I will not let you go out there and suffer. So what you will do, you will take 1 bedroom, you and your husband. They had 3 children. And your children, you will have to organize for them to sleep in the sitting room and the dining, on the ground floor. I have 5 children. I will take 2 bedrooms. I'll take my bedroom, and then the other bedroom will be for my children. The other children will sleep together with their children on the ground floor. And I left it at that. I left her thinking, this is the lady I was dealing with, I left her thinking, and I went. I had finished, just as God had advised me. So 2 days later, their lawyer calls me and tells me, Frida, please come for the keys. So I went to the lawyer to pick the keys. And the lawyer told me, this is what he told them, that once you sell a property, you have no right over that property. So the best you can do is to vacate, because this lady can take you to court and she will win the case. You will pay her damages. So they had no alternative but to move out. But the shocking part was that this house had 3 bedrooms, and all the 3 bedroom doors were broken. They had holes, big holes, like panga holes, because these guys were fighting every night. Now, let me go back a bit. When I gave them the 2 million shillings, they decided they had arrived, or mefika. So, they went and bought a small car, and none of them used to drive. The husband and the husband and the wife, none of them knew how to drive. They bought a small car, personal car, and then they bought a Nissan to go to Kitui. So the husband used to go to the Nissan to Kitui, and the lady used to be driven around by a chauffeur. Yeah? And they would use the small car to go to clubs because the husband was drinking. It was a DDO, daily drinking officer. They would be taken to clubs by a hired chauffeur or driver for that matter, and he would wait for them, and they would come from the club at around 2 a.m. And it used to happen every day, and then they would come home fighting all the way. So when they get home, I don't know what would happen. Then I'm told the wife used to run away to the children's bedroom, and then the husband would come with a panga and cut those doors wherever she would be. You know, try to break. When he couldn't break, then he would just, like cut the wood, because the doors were wooden. So all of them had holes, and then one bedroom had been rented out to an Ethiopian couple, and they used to cook in that bedroom. It had soot, yani, what do you call it? That makaa from charcoal, that blackness from charcoal. The bedrooms were very dirty. That particular bedroom had that soot. It was dirty. I mean, I don't know. It was tough. So when they left that house, they left it in that chaotic state. The sinks were broken. The kitchen taps had issues. Some of them were blocked, others were broken. The toilet seats were broken. I don't know what was happening in that house. So I went and took the keys. And poor me, I thought I had all the keys. Just to come and find the front door, which had a grill, didn't have a key. Both keys were missing. Even the back doors, the front doors, 2 keys were missing, the main door key and the grill, and the back door, both keys were missing. So the day I got the keys, I went and looked for a mason to come and break, to come with fire to remove the grill and also to break the doors. So I went into that premises, broken doors, I had to burn the grill so that I could go in. And then, of course, that was also expensive. I had to do that. And then I had to buy new locks, new padlocks, and I had to put in, out of the money I put in 110,000 to repair that house so that I could occupy it. Now, I experienced a miracle, but you can see now what I experienced after that miracle. What am I trying to say? For a Christian who is following Jesus, there are certain things that you cannot avoid. And I'm sure it's not only a Christian, but Christians feel it more because we think once you go to Jesus, the road will be smooth, your road to Damascus will be smooth, you'll be able to go out there and things will be working all right. In most cases, they are not smooth. But at some point, God sets you free. Because let me tell you a story. This story is interesting because it ended up so well. Now, I get back my house. I have to look to put mafundis to work on everything, starting from the doors to the kitchen to the sinks to the paints, and then we had to move in. Now, back to my testimony about my journey to Damascus. Journey to Damascus is how one met Christ and what transpires after that. Things have worked out up to this point, and I've gotten my house back. Not back, I've gotten the house that I was buying, and now we move in. Then, I am born again, newly born again. I have no mentor. I'm in the church. I want to serve. I don't know how to do it because I have no one to hold my hand. This is the challenge of Christians. My sisters and brothers, we call ourselves Christians. Let us live like Christ. Because now that I've become a Christian and I need to be in church, I did go to church. I identified a church which I used to go to. But I'll shock you that it is in the church where I felt most lonely for about 3 years. Because I went to that church, in spite of the fact that many people could tell I was new, no one could even say hi. Listen, I was a Muslim. I became a Christian, right? I go to church expecting that the Church of Jesus Christ will embrace me. And I find I go to the church where I sit, I wake up after church service and I go home. No one even says hi, even when you're going in there. I don't know whether that's the experience you people have, but that's the experience I got the very first days of being in the church. And I don't know how to put it. Okay, you are welcome to the first day, but after that, nobody really cares. And that is in church. Sad, but true. So, I'm a fighter. I didn't give up. I decided I wanted to be, I became a Christian, and I'm going to hang on to Christianity. I'm going to hang on to Jesus. So I had to invent my own ways of getting, integrating in the church. So I started by personally talking to people myself, and I would stop someone and just ask them, how are you? My name is Frida. I do self-introduction, and I tell them I'm born again, but I'm a Muslim. I was a Muslim, now I'm a Christian. So I need to learn this Christianity so that I can be able to, to connect with God. It took me another maybe about a year to make friends. And I had to do it myself to reach out to them. I was expecting that someone would reach out to me. They didn't. It's me who reached out. Being a stranger, knowing nothing about Christianity, but I had to reach out. for the reason that I was so aggressive, I was so determined to know this Christ that whatever it took, I was going to do it. Remember I told you I was reading the scriptures on my own. I would read from Genesis to Revelation without not necessarily knowing anything, but just reading like a novel, yeah, and trying to memorize those bits that appeared, you know, like they made a lot of sense and I could relate to. That is my journey. So far, so good. For today, I'll stop there. Next time, I'll talk about how my journey was now in the church until I started serving Jesus. Like Paul, when he changed from Saul to Paul. That is the story I'll continue. Thank you for watching. I ask you to subscribe so that we can share more. I have so much more to share. There are some places or some incidents I'll be sharing and you'll be wondering how, but it is true. Being in the church can be challenging. Being out there, I'm sure, is worse, but I journeyed through. God bless you. Please subscribe. I love you.